I talked about how to stop struggling, how to end the chase after results, but I didn't get into too much detail about how to do this. There is a beginning that you can take right away that will work for anybody. What I do always tell people is don't do it like I did. Why is this important? If you spend your life looking for an answer outside of yourself, you're always going to be looking for an answer. You're never going to get there. I don't care how much success you get. I don't care how good the results are. It won't make any difference. You'll still feel something's missing and you'll be chasing. It never ends. And this is true for purpose and meaning as well. If you're chasing purpose and meaning, if you're chasing freedom, if you're chasing happiness outside of yourself, you're never going to get it. And when you get it, you're not going to want it, or you want a different version of it, or you want more of it. Whatever it is, it won't complete you. You won't feel fulfillment. You won't feel a sense of fluidity of living regardless of what you're doing, where you're fine and feel completed. And you definitely won't feel a sense of deep connection into yourself and the world if you're chasing something outside yourself. That first stage of being an entrepreneur, of winning, that struggle, effort, and challenge phase of being up for that victory, working on yourself, working on your business, has got to end at some point, unless that works for you. I think 96% of the people out there are just doing that and they don't know any better. Now, for some, like me for many years, it was fine, and then it wasn't. However, this alternative way can be done at any time. And I'm going to get you started on it. And my hope for you is that you will take ownership of this and make a decision that you no longer want to struggle with your life and chase results. And it doesn't matter how successful you are. If you built $1 billion company and now you feel like you need to build another one because you feel you need it, that's the problem. If you're inspired by a new idea and you look ahead and you say, wow, I don't know if I'm up for this, it's because the way you got the first one to work isn't going to work to get the second one to work. You're there in that state I'm talking about of that something missing, this isn't quite right anymore. And that's good because you're ready for a leap. So here's what we're going to talk about. Awareness and attention. They work together, but they're different. Awareness is either outside of you, looking out in the world, or inside of you, experiencing yourself and what you're experiencing. There's doing out in the world, taking action, engaging, learning, working on. That's outside of yourself. And then there's being. That's existing in a state of being, in awareness of what's going on inside you. That's totally different. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you don't know what I'm talking about. If you understand what I'm saying, you don't know what I'm talking about if you haven't experienced that shift yourself. What we're going to talk about is how to shift that experience. And then what you pay attention to is done in a different way. Awareness and attention are different. You want to shift your awareness if you want to stop struggling and chasing results and chasing purpose and meaning to the outside world, to the inside world. And that's that simple. Not easy, but simple. Paying attention to your inner state is where the answer is. You don't need me to tell you how to get there or what to do when you're there. But what's helpful is to understand how it works. When you live at the level of principles, you're starting to understand things like gravity and nature. This is the same thing, but it's a different system. It's an invisible system. And it's the system that has worked for the most successful people throughout history. How do I know that? Because I've experienced this myself fully. Fully. I'm not a work in progress. I move on all the time to the next thing. So you have a completion and then another beginning. This part I'm completed, what I'm talking about. Otherwise, don't listen to me. Because you need somebody who's been through it all the way, not on the journey through it. That's not going to help you. It's very involved, but simple. It's not simple until you're finished, at least with this part that I'm talking about. The shift in attention comes for you in whatever way it comes for you. The principle is that there is a dialogue happening inside you. There is let's call it a subject and an object. Let's call it a deeper self and a self of experience. Let's call it your true self or your ego self. Doesn't matter what you call it, same thing. It's two parts, battling. Now, it's more complicated than this, and you may know a lot about brain science, you may have read a lot about this. None of that matters. It's your experience of it that matters. Just knowing that this won't do you any good. I've known about this stuff for years. It didn't make any difference. How do you get there? It works kind of like CPG chat. Shifting awareness, this is called consciousness elevation, consciousness expansion is what this is called. All it means simply is you're paying attention to something else. Instead of paying attention to what you can get out in the world, which is where most people's attention is focused, or your awareness is. I'll get into attention in a minute. It's a little confusing, so I'm trying to figure out how to simplify this. Then your awareness shifts inside. What happens inside? If you haven't experienced this yet, you don't know what I'm talking about, but you will quickly if you do a few things. What do you have to do? Pay attention to your awareness. I know it's confusing. The awareness comes from noticing what's going on inside yourself. And the questions are things like, what am I feeling? What am I noticing? What am I experiencing? Fundamentally, that's what it is. What am I experiencing? Not what am I engaged with through my senses in the object world, the outside world, the ego world. That world is delusional and is confusing you and me. What we want to do is get to truth. Truth is inside all of us. You find your truth. You've heard that before, right? How do you find your truth? You pay attention to where it is, which is inside you. How do you do this? Just do it. Spend 30 minutes a day by yourself and pay attention to your inside. You don't have to meditate. You don't have to do any fancy stuff. Just pay attention. Take a walk and pay attention. It works like CPG chat. It's a dialogue. This is Socratic. This is what he was talking about. Socrates was talking about. It's an inner dialogue. You ask yourself, you prompt the deeper part of yourself that knows what it's doing. In other words, the observer, the subject, from the object point of view, the questioner, the confused self, the ego that's screwing you up. And you say, help me out. What are you doing to me? What's going on? What do I want? Whatever your question is, ask it. Now, here's the key. When you're using CPG chat, you're prompting and you're getting all kinds of crap back, right? Confusing until you get the prompts right. What do? Use your persistence. You're an entrepreneur, but don't struggle with it. Don't make an effort and don't see it as a big challenge because then you're working on yourself and it won't work. All you have to do is quietly listen to what's coming up. When you do that, things will start to change for you and they will change dramatically. What's next? Keep doing it and do it every day. I'll do a separate video on attention and the difference between awareness and attention. For right now, just be aware. You shift your attention when your awareness is directed on yourself by not prioritizing the thing you want out in the world, or the people who are around you, or the beliefs that you're taking on throughout the day as you are learning how to be more successful, or if you're very successful as an entrepreneur, how to get happiness, how to get satisfaction, how to get meaning and purpose. I'm going to turn this off. You shift your awareness, and then your attention is yours, and you are able to direct it wherever you want.